The most important question is whether or not the IMF will ever keep XRP as a reserve currency. What could make the biggest bank in the world think about a coin that is designed to be fast and liquid? A new study from the IMF points out that XRP could make cross-border payments more modern and even work with digital currency projects being run by central banks. It won't be just news if XRP ever ends up in the IMF's basket. It would change everything about the future of money. I wanted to find out what relationships Ripple, XRP, the IMF, and central banks have right now and where this could all be going. There will be a lot of people there. Let's start right away. What does that mean for the IMF and why does it matter to the IMF? Thanks, Brad. The IMF is paying a lot of attention to blockchain and other forms of fintech. That being said, we believe it's hard to talk about blockchain without also talking about the other new technologies that are being talked about in the fintech discussion. This idea includes a lot of different technologies such as the internet and cloud computing, distributed ledgers and blockchain, biometric data, application program interfaces, and of course, mobile phone technology. And many of our 189 member countries are coming to the IMF for advice because they are interested in these problems. They want to know how to approach and unlock the potential of fintech while also putting in place rules that protect against the risks. The IMF is doing a lot of work in this area right now, and it's made up of a number of different projects. We have a very busy program of study and publication to begin with. We wrote important papers about what were then called virtual currencies, now called crypto assets, and how fintech might change the market for sending money across borders. We work closely with the private sector and the business. To help us with our work on fintech, we set up a high-level advisory group last year with leaders from both the private and public sectors. And I'm happy to say that Chris Larsson, one of the founders of Ripple, and Sipendo Mahante from the Monetary Authority of Singapore are both in that group. We really appreciate the help they give us. Third, we're interacting with our partner countries a lot. We use our ability to bring people together to talk about their experiences using fintech and blockchain to their full potential and to start making rules that will help reduce the risks that might come with them. In this case, let me show you some of these links. The IMF, Ripple, and XRP are all important and have many roles. They work together, give advice, and recognize XRP's potential in the global banking system. 1. Ripple was chosen to be a part of the IMF's high-level fintech consulting group. You just learned that Chris Larsson was in that group. In a moment, I will show you who is in that group. As part of its job, this expert group makes policy suggestions, especially for small island nations, and works to improve cross-border money transfers. Do you remember when Ripple and Palau did a public CBDC? It was based on dollars. That did look like a place to test the system and see if it would work. People know that Ripple's technology and knowledge of distributed ledger technology can help with new financial ideas while still protecting national rights. As CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse has pitched XRP directly to the IMF, pointing out that it is faster, cheaper, and easier to use for making payments across borders. XRP is being sold as a way to solve the problems that come up with pre-funding foreign transactions right now. There are probably between $10 and $20 trillion locked up in these pre-funded accounts around the world. I've seen the numbers go as high as $25 trillion right now. All of that money could be taken back and put to good use in those countries and banking institutions with the help of RippleNet and XRP. Just think of all the new loans, businesses, and growth that could happen if that cash could be put to good use instead of sitting around the world idle. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has recognized XRP as a promising digital asset that could make cross-border payments much cheaper and more efficient, which would help countries that rely on remittances the most. The IMF thinks that XRP could be used as a bridge currency. It's hard to find bridge tokens that fit this model when you look at the top 10, 20, and 50 tokens. They are not going to use Bitcoin to send or receive money between countries. They will want to use something that lets you go into any currency, into XRP, and out the other side in any currency tokenization asset that you want. You can also do gold, silver, or whatever you're looking for. XRP could be the bridge that connects all of these things. It does talk about making it possible for different national currencies and even digital currencies issued by central banks to work with each other. The IMF's expert assistance team has worked on Ripple-led projects like the partnership between Ripple and Palau, which shows that the two organizations are working together in real life and not just talking about it. The IMF wants to make developing areas' financial systems and payment systems more stable. This cooperation fits with their goals. Also, Ripple works with more than 40 regulators around the world, such as the Bank of England, the Federal Reserve, and the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority. It also has advisory roles in the IMF and other organizations, which shows how important it is for the company to shape the global standards for fintech and payments. Watch out, you have to be in the room to take part at this level and scope. All of these world's largest banks asked Ripple to participate in a meeting to share ideas and plan the way forward. You can see the HBARS or not. I have nothing bad to say about Litecoin, HBAR, or anything else. I'm trying to say that not many companies have been able to meet with some of these high-level countries and central banks. Ripple is one of them. At the moment, the IMF can't directly hold crypto assets like XRP because of the way the law is set up. This will only change when at least one country makes these assets its official currency. These are some of the things that are stopping the IMF from buying XRP. One country around the world would have to switch to XRP as its official currency. Could that really happen? That's something we're going to look into. What does an SDR mean? An SDR is a type of foreign reserve currency. In other words, the SDR is not money, it is value. This rate is based on a group of 5 currencies: the US dollar, the euro, the yuan, the yen, and the pound sterling. But you start to wonder if the IMF will look at ESDRS, which are electronic SDRS, and are a type of coin. If the XRP-based electronic SDR goes through, it would be a big change for global reserve systems and the use of XRP. For this to happen, there would need to be a lot of agreement at the IMF and among other central banks, as well as clear rules and ready technology. The IMF policy change is most likely what will lead to an ESDR for XRP. The first step would be a review lead by the IMF. Policymakers would talk about how to change the definition of a reserve asset and the criteria for the SDR basket so that digital assets like XRP are included. The change would need to be supported by important IMF members such as the US, EU, China, Japan, and the UK through central bank buy-in. Now, the US, Japan, the UK, and the EU have all worked together on Ripple. We know that Ripple is in Japan and all over Europe right now because it was just at the high-level advisory board. So you start to think, is it possible that this could happen? They could then put pressure on the IMF by telling them that XRP will be a world asset. We do want you to hold it as an ESDR from now on. That's what I think could happen here. In order to change the SDR basket, you would need 85% of the votes.